Friedman. I have a digital marketing company in Denver. I work with a lot of small businesses and professional services providers to help people develop their digital marketing strategies and implement them. We're going to talk about how to grow your business with email and social media today. And I think it's always hard to do these things, obviously, on a Zoom call. I am going to share my screen. I'm going to do a PowerPoint presentation. But I want to see how interactive we could sort of try to make this, which is one reason why I'm trying to use this workbook with you too. It would also be helpful for me, since there's relatively few of us, if we could sort of go around and have each of you unmute yourself. I'm going to call on you because I can see you on my screen. And if you could just tell me your name, because some of you, I can't see your name, and what you do and kind of what you're hoping to get out of this today, that would be helpful, because then I might be able to tailor some of what I say to you specifically. So
And right before we get started, Brad, Sheila, since you don't have a camera or microphone, if you would please utilize the chat feature for this info, and then I can read it to everybody.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Okay.
So if we could start Sightseer 2, if you could unmute yourself and just tell me who you are and what you do and why you're here. I'd also be curious to know if you're already using email marketing in your business.
Well, hi, Brad. My name is Heath Fuhrer, and I have a couple of different businesses that I've just kind of started and trying to get off the ground. One is a personal and relationship and small business coaching business, and the other one is public speaking, mostly about historical, geographical, kind of things about Denver and the Rocky Mountain West. That's a little tough thing right now due to what's going on. And I have done some of that work in the past already, but obviously right now is not a good time. So I haven't really used, I've created an email, but I haven't really used anything to send out to anybody. So I was just interested in the class today, just to see the perspectives and what kind of recommendations that you have as far as emailing to people, because we all know we get a bunch of emails, and we don't always want to get a bunch of emails.
Great, thank you. Jasmine, how about you?
Jasmine, I just unmuted you, so go ahead.
I have a little jewelry business, a little art business, and a Reiki reflexology business.
Okay. Are you currently using email for anything?
I need to get more customers on my email list.
Okay, good. We might talk about that excuse later. Okay, good.
So before we move on, let me read Sheila's. So
okay.
Sheila writes, Sheila Ogle from Kitchen Masters, Kitchen, Bath Design, Remodel, and Restoration Floor Works, new hardwood floors and refinishing, very limited email use, looking to do more, specifically looking for reviews from existing customers.
Do more specifically, looking for a review from existing. Okay, great. TKCBR.
Hi guys, I'm Tony Brangosio, and I'm with Colorado Arts Productions. We are a full-service video production company, and we help with digital campaigns for all types of businesses. And what I'm really kind of looking to is to learn more about the digital marketing, and how video fits into that, and how we can approach attracting more customers, and email campaigns and how I can kind of manage my email list and utilize that to maximize that better.
Great. Okay. Travis.
So I am mostly using email to do autoresponder stuff. So when people come to my website and request information or take advantage of an informational offer, then that'll kick off an autoresponder piece to them. I do have active campaign set up so that I can do marketing campaigns through email. However, that's brand new to me, and I have not actually launched my first campaign yet. So definitely looking for some tips and tricks on what that might look like.
Interesting. Okay, great. That's a great tool. All right, Donald.
Hey, Donald, you're unmuted.
All right, this Don Whiteley. I have a firm called ADA Compliance by Whiteley Consulting. So as the name says, I do a lot of compliance and audits for ADA and for federal government, ABA, which is the Architectural Barriers Act, very similar. So I have a group in LinkedIn, my own group, and I'm also consulting on Denver County's new green roofs ordinance. So I have a three-pronged professional service, basically: ADA compliance, green roof, and I'm a great historian, so I try and do ADA compliance with historic buildings. So I have a group on LinkedIn. I follow it very closely and diligently, you should say. But I really haven't started an email campaign, and I'm not really sure how that would fit in with me. So I appreciate the opportunity to meet everybody.
Okay, great. Thank you. Ebony.
Hello, my name is Ebony Sabeldia. I'm with Sapphire Electric. We just opened up our company and we do have Outlook, and we do some more looking to learn how to use Facebook and other social tools for marketing to help grow the business.
Okay, great. Good. Glad to hear that. All right, thanks. Let me see. Tom O'Dwyer.
Hi, this is actually Carol O'Dwyer. I commandeered my husband's iPad so I could have lunch while I participated. I'm at the very, very beginning stages. I'm working on a book and looking to restart my coaching and training business. So the topic sounded interesting. I know I need to know about this, but that's all I know. So I'm open to learning anything.
Perfect. Leanne, you're next. Okay.
You know what, Leanne, it looks to me like I don't have the option to unmute you. So I'm wondering if you also do not have the option to participate live with us. So if you want to put something in the chat feature, I'll check it at the end and we'll circle back to you. And if not, we're just happy that you're here with us. No worries.
Okay, let's see. Tom Smith.
Hi, good afternoon. I am with a local dental practice. We are with Familia Dental, and I'm actually joined on the call with Mallory, who was just on the call, but it looks like she may have just dropped off. Mallory and I have been pretty active in the community in terms of community marketing, very much engaged with face-to-face contact with people over the last 6 months. But we're going to have to completely shift and transition that approach to something online. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, email campaigns. So we're kind of in the beginning stages of understanding how we go about that approach.
Great, great. Okay. Chris?
Yes, my name is Chris Cross, and my husband and I have a company where we work in electrical, industrial, and control panel design, and we work with oil and gas companies and manufacturing, so we are struggling right now. But we are need to I'm in this workshop so we can figure out better ways to do email marketing. And because, you know, some of this market is going to come back eventually. So.
Okay, that makes good sense. Let me see. We've got 016320. It's a hard name to pronounce. There we go.
See, so that's me unmuting. So I don't know who 016320, but if you're there and can hear us, would you like to share? And if not, no pressure.
Okay, and then the last one is phone number 720-633-7197.
And you are unmuted.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, this is Leanne, actually.
Oh, Leanne.
That is so weird why I did that.
You know, that's happened before. I see that happen all the time. I don't know why that is, but glad you're here.
Oh, that was funny. I was in the middle of typing up the chat thing. But I can circle around and say that the reason why I'm doing this is because I wanted to just I'm really in the fat gathering stage. I want to start a business. And I know email marketing is going to be a huge part of it. So that's why I'm in this. And I would love to know anything I can, you know, gather up of information to start that business.
Okay, great. So we're going to get started. I'm going to share my screen, which hopefully you can see now. We're talking about how to grow your business with email and social media. And we're going to try to do this in about an hour. What I want to talk about, I want to really start kind of basic with small business marketing today. We're going to go over some simple steps for setting goals, because I'm big on having you not just go out there blindly doing things without really having a purpose, without really knowing why you're doing what you're doing. We're going to talk about how to choose the right message, picking your platform, building relationships through content, writing calls to action. I'm also kind of sensitive to measuring success, and I try to put that toward the end of the presentation because it's something that I could talk about for probably the rest of the afternoon, and we'll try not to, just because I feel like we're all business owners and we should be making data-driven decisions. So we'll spend some time, hopefully just a little bit of time, talking about measuring success, and then in the end we're going to talk about how to get started. So let's start with talking about small business marketing really in today's world. And it might seem like there's a lot to keep up with, and we all only have so much time and so many resources to get there. And I'm here to tell you that you know, you really do have more to add to the mix than you really think. In the world today, we're probably all familiar with this typical sales funnel. You try to get people into the top of the funnel, doing whatever it is that you're doing. You educate them, you nurture them, and you squeeze them out the bottom and turn them into customers. hopefully you reach as many people as you can. You convert a certain percentage of them into paying customers. And it takes a lot of money to do this. And it takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of energy. And this is probably a marketing system that many of you are familiar with, and it makes sense. And it's a numbers game. But the problem really with this today is that it's very expensive, because you do this by taking out a lot of ads. And advertising today takes a lot of money, and it's hard for small businesses to compete in this kind of landscape. And one of the beautiful things about digital marketing is that digital marketing has really flipped the funnel. And I like to make the case that digital marketing has kind of leveled the playing field, because everybody has to play by the same rules in the digital world. And when you begin to use the new marketing tools like Facebook or LinkedIn, some of you talked about Twitter, holding online events, doing surveys, you are reaching out to people that you already know, people that you're already connected with. And that's where email also comes into play. And you need to keep this concept in mind as I'm going through the rest of the workshop, is that we're talking about working with people that we already know. Whereas in the previous model, where the funnel was going the other direction, we were reaching out to people that we don't know. And we were trying to get them into our funnel and then squeezing them out. So in this version of the funnel, we're reaching out to people we already know, and we're trying to get them to spread the word to potential new customers. So you're reaching out to them on a regular basis, whether it's information or offers that are relevant to those people, or maybe it's relevant to people that they know, and you're doing this through posts on Facebook or tweets on Twitter or messages in email, and hoping that they are going to like, share, and comment on your posts, or forward your email to people that they know who might also be interested in this, so that you can get new customers through this way. So through this kind of funnel, you're going to grow your base, you're going to grow your business through repeat business from people that you already know, and through referrals from these people. And at the end of this kind of business day, it turns out that you're going to keep a lot more of your existing customers, and you're going to meet new people through them. And it takes a lot less time and a lot less money in advertising. So we've flipped that funnel, and we're now going to take more advantage of ourselves, because I think as small business owners that we have an advantage over big businesses, in that people have an opportunity to get to know us. People have an opportunity to put a face with our business, and we don't have that opportunity in the big business world. We don't put a face with the Nikes or the Cokes or the pick a company, the Microsofts or the Adobes of the world. We don't put a face with those companies, and we don't have the same kind of relationships as our customers do with us, because we have that advantage of putting our face with our organization, and we have an opportunity to be our authentic self online in our social media presence for our business and in our emails, and big brands can't do that. So I encourage you to hear what I'm saying in that respect, and to take advantage of the opportunity to be yourself as much as you can. Now, in this new marketing world, again, you're going to spend less time finding new customers and more time engaging your existing happy customers, because engagement in this new marketing world is the new word of mouth. And email and social media have really leveled the playing field for smaller organizations like ours in order to compete with the big boys. I am guessing, and if we were sitting in this room together like we would normally be, I would say to you, how many of you have ever heard about a restaurant or an event or a business because of something that you've seen that has been posted on Facebook or on social media, and every one of you, there we go, every one of you would raise your hand and say yes. Yeah, I know that all of you have heard of something, an event, a restaurant, a movie, a book, something on social media. And this kind of social visibility is what we're talking about. It's this kind of social visibility that allows your customers to spread the word about your business, and you're going to be able to engage your current customers and even reach new ones by taking advantage of these platforms. Now, we're on slide, I don't know, 9. And some of you are already feeling overwhelmed. You just saw all those different social media platforms and you're thinking, oh my gosh, there's all these different ways to communicate. There's not enough time. How do I decide where to spend my time? We're going to talk about that. So just like I did, take a big deep breath and relax, sit back, take a little sip of whatever alcoholic beverage you have in front of you, because I see some of you have turned off your cameras already, and I know what you're doing on the other end over there. Take a breath, because there are a lot of options, but we're going to talk about making smart decisions. We're going to talk about whether you're making the most effective decisions, if you're really spending your marketing budget in the best way possible, because this is not an uncommon challenge for small businesses. You have tons of platforms that you're being told you need to manage all at once, and sometimes that pressure is actually to your disadvantage. When I bring on a new client, sometimes we'll do some research and figure out where their target audience is, and we'll focus on only one social network for a month, maybe to 3 months before we do anything else. And that's not unusual at all. So let's take some time, figure out what we need to be doing and where we need to be doing it, and what's the most effective way to use our budget and our time. Now, anybody want to take a guess? You can put your answer in the chat. Remember, I told you I was going to try to make this as interactive as possible over Zoom. What's the #1 cell phone app? Take a second, put your guess in the chat. Let me see if I can actually open up.
Brad, what do you mean app? Like, do you mean brand?
No, what's an app?
Oh, app,
on
like
your cell
Facebook,
phone?
Instagram, like that kind of
So
app?
we got 2 Facebook, we got Maps,
We got a Candy Crush.
Candy Crush. Okay, good. So the #1 cell phone app, Instagram, Maps, excellent. #1 cell phone app, year after year after year, is email. Yes, email. 91% of people check their email daily, and 88% regularly check their email on their smartphone. So what does that mean? It means that email is one of the top ways for you to be seen by your customers. Now, why is this that people check their email on their smartphone? I mean, everybody knows the answer to that. It's convenient. So we can check our email on our smartphone at our convenience. Some people check their email first thing in the morning when they wake up. Some people check their email right before they go to bed at night. Some people check their email when they're in the restroom. You know who I'm talking to out there? Yes, you don't need to raise your hand on that one. But email is very convenient to check on your smartphone. So you need to keep that in mind too as we go through this. We're going to talk about this again in a minute. So email is really hard to beat for its marketing value too, because it still has the highest delivery and response. In fact, the Direct Marketing Association reports that email remains unbeaten with a return on investment of $44.25 per every $1 spent. So I'm going to give you a second for that to soak in. Every dollar you spend on email can return $44.25. So it really is the best way to reach your clients or customers. And it's going to allow you to manage your relationships with them in a huge way if you do it correctly. So what about social media though? Well, in the world that we live in today, times have changed, and for better or worse, we trust strangers. In today's world, we tell everyone about everything through social media channels, even strangers. And because of that, 46% of shoppers rely on social media when they're making a purchase, and 88% find online reviews as trustworthy and as personal recommendations. And one of you, when you were introducing yourself earlier, said you're trying to get more reviews. And why are you trying to get more reviews? Because 88% of people rely on those reviews when they're making a decision as to whether they're going to do business with you. So that's a good business decision, to be trying to get more reviews. Okay, but keeping in mind, now I have a client that's trying to get more reviews too. And with the good reviews also come bad reviews. Because when you put it out there, you take some risks. But you want to get those reviews because that's how people are making business decisions today. That's how people are making buying decisions today. They're basing it on the reviews and recommendations of other people on social media. So based on this new marketing funnel today, and the knowledge of how social media and email are working together and playing into that success, I want to give you some examples. And one of those examples is going to be this Half Moon Yoga Studio. Half Moon Yoga Studio is a yoga studio in Massachusetts, and they were trying to generate more revenue. So what that meant to them at the time when they were actually open was that it meant more butts in seats, or in their case, more butts on yoga mats. And they were putting in efforts into sending a monthly emails, posting on every social media site they could think of. They were hosting open house events. They were spread so thin and finding that they weren't getting in front of the right people. Now, I am guessing that some of you can relate to this. Now, when they sat down with me to think about what their goals were, we encouraged them to start sending bi-weekly blasts about their class schedule, focus on their social strategy primarily on Facebook, and not trying to be everywhere all at once, because that's where we decided their clients were. And within months, they had doubled their class attendance. So by helping them define what they were truly after, setting those goals first, we were able to help them focus their budget and their time in the places that would help them yield the biggest bang for their buck, because that's really what it is all about. And the moral of that story was that you have endless options about how to market your business, but you don't have endless resources, which is why a few minutes ago I said, take a big deep breath and sit back and relax. I'm not asking you to be everywhere all the time, but I am asking you to take some time to define your goals and narrow down which methods are going to be most effective to help you achieve success. And we're going to do that in a few minutes, right in that workbook that I had you download, so that we can do some of this together. Okay, so every business or organization has one or two major objectives that they're trying to achieve. Now, with so many options in the online marketing world, it's very easy to lose sight of what you're ultimately striving for. So I want to help you a little bit today, try to narrow things down so that we're not losing time and money without seeing huge benefits. It's important to be very clear about your specific objectives in order to determine what your marketing strategy is. And without determining what your marketing strategy is, how would you even know what to put in an email or what to put in a social media post? So let's think for a minute at the highest levels. What is your business trying to achieve? Now think about that for a second. Now, many of us have similar goals, so I'm going to give you some ideas. Okay, so are you trying to increase sales? Are you trying to drive referrals and repeat business? Are you trying to maybe engage volunteers or members or advocates if you're a nonprofit? Are you trying to reach new customers? Are you trying to nurture leads and build relationships? Now, no fair raising your hand and saying, I want to do all of those things, because you can't do all of those things at once. At different times during the year or at different times during the business cycles, these goals may change. But you have to be careful about spreading yourself too thin. Trying to achieve too much all at once is going to take you away from your ultimate goal. Now, if you had to prioritize, how would you rank them based upon the importance to your business right now? So this is when we can pull out that workbook that you downloaded, which I am going to do myself. And on page 1, right there at the top over on the left, it says, know your objectives. Okay, so you see a list there of common objectives for small businesses. I want you to take 10 seconds. 10 seconds. And I want you to go with your first gut instinct and just rank those 1 through 5. With 1 being your overall objective. 10 seconds. Ready, go. Okay, 10. Moving on. All right, now, how many of you have sent an email or posted something on social media without ever doing this activity? Everybody should be raising their hand because I know you are honest people. Well, except for one of you. I'm not going to point out your name, but I know everybody but one of you should be raising your hand. But really, I know you're posting things without having done this. It's very important that you know, how can you achieve a goal if you haven't actually defined it? Okay, so when writing your goals, it's important to understand who is your target audience. Okay, and that's important for multiple things that we're going to be talking about today. So I want you to be thinking about, who is your target audience? Who are you trying to reach? Write down real numbers. Okay, what is your target? Set real numbers. If you're trying to nurture leads or relationships or engage customers or increase sales, write down real numbers. When is this going to be accomplished? Is it going to be accomplished? Is it really going to be accomplished in 60 days? Or is it 6 months? So be realistic when you're setting these goals. All right. Now you're ready to, once you're doing all of this, you're ready to write down your own goals. So you know your objectives. And then if you move down to that next section on that page 1, you're ready to write your own goals. Now keep in mind, it probably works best if you're thinking short term, monthly, quarterly. You can go big later when you take a step back and you really have time to look at this. If you need some inspiration, here's what we did with the Half Moon Yoga. Okay, they were able to narrow their goal down enough to start focusing their marketing and getting their results. So take a minute, 30 seconds, maybe a minute, and write down your own who, what, when. Who are you going to reach out to? What are you going to try to accomplish, and how long is it going to take you? Okay, now, when we've decided what we're truly after and we've made tangible goals that we can measure. Okay, again, I'm coming back to this measurement piece, because we've got to be able to measure so that we can make data-driven decisions and be able to measure our success. Then we're really ready to start designing the message that is going to get us there. We're going to be able to start by focusing on the audience that we're trying to reach and figure out where it is that they are spending their time. Now, for most people, that includes the inbox. All the studies tell us that regardless of who our target audience is, they all are reading their email. And that includes the millennials, who are getting such a bad rap these days. Millennials read email. Okay, it might be at 11 o'clock at night, but millennials read their email just like everybody else does. All the studies are telling us that. At the same time, our target audience is on social media too. But we might need to do some research to figure out where. Now, based upon what I heard when everybody went around and introduced themselves, I'm guessing that nobody here today would need to spend 100% of their marketing time on the relatively new TikTok platform, where a lot of the time on TikTok is spent dancing and lip syncing to music. Now, yes, it's one of the hottest apps out there right now, but I don't think any of us here today need to be spending 100% of our time on TikTok. But it is important that you figure out where your target audience is and what platform they are on. So, for example, when I was telling you a little bit about me, I told you I work a lot with professional services providers, doctors, lawyers, dentists, financial services providers. So I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn because that's where those people are. So you kind of have to do the same kind of research. All right, so choosing the right message. First thing we're doing is we're picking the right platform. So remember back in the beginning of today's workshop when we were talking about all the ways your audience engages with you online through email and social media. So how do you figure out whether you should be all over email or all over media? Well, I want to sort of help you. First off, I want to tell you that one of the beautiful things about email is that it gets 95% delivery rates from most email services providers. Now, today's workshop is brought to you by our friends at Constant Contact, the email service provider that I've done work with for the past 10 years. Constant Contact boasts rates a little bit higher. Sometimes they say 99%, 97%, but I like to put this 95% number in here. It takes into account the MailChimps and all the other kind of Emmas and Active Campaign we heard about a little earlier, HubSpot. 95% of email gets delivered to the inbox. Now, I want to just take 1 second and stress the word delivered. Delivered does not mean opened. Okay, the email service provider can get your email delivered. We're going to talk about a few tips to get your email opened, because getting it opened is on you. It's not on a Constant Contact or another email service provider. Getting your email opened is on you. Okay, so comparing that with a Facebook, for example. Now, we all know Facebook is the largest social network by far, and we know that when we post something in our Facebook newsfeed, if we are most fortunate, 2% of the people who like our page, 2% of the people who like our page could possibly see what we post in their newsfeed. Now, remember how that works. The only way somebody ever sees anything that you post on social media is if they happen to be sitting at their computer looking at their Facebook newsfeed, or looking at their Facebook newsfeed on their phone or their tablet at the exact second that you post your post and it shows up in their newsfeed, or at some point in the day, they go to their newsfeed and they scroll, and happen to come across your post, and for whatever reason, it catches their attention. So we have one product that 95% of the time shows up in their inbox, and we have another product that 2% of the time gives them an opportunity to possibly see it in their newsfeed. Now, I just give you this statistic because it is the statistic. I am not in any way downplaying social media, because that would be, in essence, putting me out of business. And I'm not here to do that, especially not right now when the COVID-19 virus has tried desperately to do that itself. But using these two platforms together makes a lot more sense when you see these kinds of statistics. So I want you to think about the importance of leveraging email and social media, because doing that is really great for gathering your followers and building a tremendous reputation online. In fact, businesses who combine email and social media find that they get 73% more customer engagement, they get 57% more new customers, and 39% more business referrals. So the numbers are big when you're using both mediums together. Okay, so how many of you think every person who likes your Facebook page is also on your email list? Okay, So it's possible that some people who like your Facebook page might not be on your email list. So what if you could share your emails on social media like Facebook? So what kind of benefits could we get if that newsletter that is, I mean, on your left, maybe check out our new menu items on your left, could also be on your Facebook page. So with a email service provider like Constant Contact, you can put your email right on your Facebook page and increase visibility by sharing your email on social media. You can also grow your email list by having a special tab on your Facebook page that could possibly even just say grow your list. People could click on it, go fill out a quick form and be on your email list. And you can save time. Okay, one of the things I hear most of all from people after they hear me talk is, I don't have anything to say. I don't know how I'm going to come up with all this content that you're talking about. That's a whole nother workshop in and of itself, because you have plenty to say. You just don't necessarily want to think about that right now. But if you are one of those people who don't think you have anything to say in a Facebook post, here you go. You could certainly say, have you seen our latest news, and link to your latest email newsletter. So it's another way that we're able to combine the use of email with social media. It's a fabulous tip to be able to do that. So not only can you combine forces outside of your message, but you can also promote social media inside of your email by putting clickable links to your social media pages inside your emails, so that you're driving traffic to your social media pages from your emails. So when you send it out, and you can see here, connect with us, has the little social media icon. So why do I love this? Well, one, because you're driving traffic to your social media pages, but two, because every time somebody clicks on one of those, we're tracking it. So we're measuring how many people are clicking on the YouTube icon on the left, the Facebook icon, the Twitter icon, the Instagram icon, and the Pinterest icon, because when you're able to compare the amount of traffic that you have to your social media pages, you are able to determine where your audience is, where they're hanging out. So we see in this example that 2 people click to Instagram, and 11 people click to Pinterest, and 10 people click to Facebook. So this helps us. This helps us determine where we can best be spending our time. Okay? All right, one of the other questions I get all the time, and I'm going to beat you to the punch, is, all right, so maybe I've convinced you that you need to be sending emails. When do I send them? Maybe I've convinced you that you need to be posting on social media. When do I post on social media? Those are very common questions. And the real answer to those questions is, I have no idea. And the honest answer is, really, nobody has any idea. And there's no science to it. There's some trends, there's some data that I'm going to share with you here in the next click. But really what you have to do is you have to test, and you have to look, because everybody's audience is different. However, I will tell you, regular and consistent posting on social media is what's important. And when I say regular and consistent, 3 to 5 times a week is plenty in most cases. But remember, they used to tell us that we could exercise 3 to 5 times a week, and now that number has gone up in most cases. And I would suggest that because we all have only so much time, that you use automated tools to help you do this. But if you're able to post 3 to 5 times a week, that would be plenty. And for the most part, sending one email newsletter a month is the most common. And spicing that up with something extra special every once in a while would be a good practice. But again, use reports to determine what would be best for your audience. Okay, so that's the best I can tell you. And again, there's all kinds of reports out there that break this down by industry and all of those things, days of the week, time of the day. It's really going to depend on your audience and your industry, and it's very specific. In many cases, it's also going to depend on you and the expectations that you set with your audience, which is something that you need to take into account too. If you tell people you're going to send them an email every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m., you best do that. Okay, so building relationships through content. Now, once you've chosen your platform, you're ready to start thinking about writing your messages. Okay, but I'm going to warn you that you're not going to see the greatest success simply by picking your platform and blasting your goals out. In this new digital marketing arena, audiences respond to brands that they recognize and trust. So we're going to talk a little bit about how we do that, how we build trust. In order to reach your goal in the long term, it's really not enough to choose the platform and immediately start promoting your agenda. People do not enjoy being sold to. What they do enjoy is receiving content that not only speaks to their interests, but enables them to overcome a challenge, achieve a goal, or learn something that they may not have already known. So we need to keep that in mind. All right. So we need to, what I like to teach anyway, is this 80-20 rule, where we're putting out 80% of the time we're sending out valuable content. And if we do that, we are allowed to sell 20% of the time. So valuable content for my accounting clients sounds like 3 common mistakes on your taxes, whereas 20% selling sounds like let us do your taxes. So 80% of your messages is valuable content, 20% is reserved for promotion. So think about that. And if you're still following along a little bit in your workbook, that's the answer to the question in the bottom right on page 1. All right, let me give you another quick example of how this guideline can impact your long-term goals. All right, if I worked with a real estate agent who couldn't figure out how to maintain those relationships with recent home buyers. So think about it. You buy a home, you're in your house, you're probably in your house long-term. So let's say, I mean, I've been in my house now 25 years, so I don't really need that realtor, but realtors like to have top of mind awareness, because even though I might not need my realtor, maybe my kids are going to buy a house or a family member. So having top of mind awareness is good for a realtor. So working with a realtor, one thing that we did was try to find a way for the realtor to maintain relationships. And we did that by coming up with ideas that he could put in an email that went out regularly with tips. How to maintain your gutters, ideas for home decor, the best plumber in the neighborhood, And the call to action was always share my message with your friends and family. So think about these things, ways to build relationships, ways to keep your business top of mind, things that you can do when you're trying to think of, well, what can I put out in an email, is you can turn questions that you get asked all the time into subject lines and topics for email. So these are just some ideas, just coming in questions. How do I weatherproof my new golf bag? Into a tutorial on weatherproofing your golf bag in 5 minutes. You know, all kinds of things that you might get questions of, you can turn into emails in real life. You might take a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle, put questions on one side, answers on the other, and there you have a whole list of emails that you can send out for the next month. Facebook posts, Twitter tweets, YouTube videos that you can create, all of those things in order to get your message out. Now, we talked a little bit about how 95% of emails get delivered. Up to you to get them opened. And the way that we get them opened in the first place is with subject lines. So I want to give you some tips on subject lines real quick. So one, subject lines obviously need to be short, okay? 5 to 8 words long. Often a good idea to include a number in your subject line, like top 3 benefits, top 3 tips, those kinds of things. And always want to encourage action. Schedule your consultation today. Summer sale ends Friday. Things like that to get people to open your email. Again, just because 95% of the time your email arrives in the inbox, you and I both know we don't open everything that arrives in our inbox. So the challenge is for us to get our emails opened. Because we're running a little short on time, and I have some more things that I want to share with you, and I would love to have a little time for questions at the end. Keep in mind that if you want, you could be writing some questions in the chat. There is a place in the top left corner on page 2 where you could be thinking about your own subject lines, page 2 of the workbook. Okay, again, number one pushback I get when we're talking about content in emails and social media posts is that you don't have enough content, you don't have enough ideas, you don't have enough things to say. So I just want to tell you, you do. I mean, you just do. Nobody knows your business like you do. As business owners, we take for granted that people know what we do and how we do it. People don't. People love seeing behind the scenes stuff. People love learning what it is that we do. But if you want to be stubborn and you want to keep telling me that you don't have enough content, I want to just tell you that you don't always have to stick to your own content. There's a lot of information out there that you can use for social media posts and for email. There are many resources that you can use to find content that your audience will find valuable. Blogs, for example, your blog, if you have one, and I hope you do, other blogs that you read, interviews or testimonials that you participate in, interviews or testimonials that you receive, social media that you see. Maybe you have set up Google alerts, or you watch YouTube videos, or things that you see on Pinterest or Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn. Maybe you have access to experts in their community, or you have people who are advertisers who share information with you, or partners, or sponsors or those kinds of people who give or share information with you. Everybody has access to industry news, annual reports, competitor news, press releases, survey results. There's all kinds of information out there that we can take advantage of. You do not ever have the excuse that you don't have anything to say in an email newsletter or a social media post. You just don't. Okay, so whatever content is that you share or wherever you decide to share it, I want to encourage you to focus a little bit on brand recognition. It's always important. So everything should look like you wherever it is. It's a great way to reinforce and build relationships. I like to tell people wherever I land, whether it's on your Facebook page or your website, or if I open an email, I would like to know that it's you the minute I land on the page or open the email. And that could be because I see your logo or because of the colors that you use. If you look at the example on your monitor right now, the colors on the website and the logo look just like the colors and the logo on the in the email. So be consistent, match the colors, choose your tone also. You don't want to say something on your website and then use an entirely different tone in a Facebook post. So like I said, I do work, let's say I am doing work with a law firm. Well, you can imagine the sort of, well, let's just say boring website that a law firm might have. If we were to go to a Facebook page and it were to be totally opposite of that, it might not be recognizable. Many people might find that refreshing, and that might be, but you want to keep the tone consistent, the colors consistent, the branding consistent. And one of the nice things about using an email service provider is that you're able to do that in your emails and make it consistent. So match the colors, choose the tone, be consistent. Okay. Make your emails engaging with visuals, but don't overdo it. 3 or fewer visuals. Make your visuals, your images clickable so that if I can hover over it, click, maybe go to your website or go to somewhere else, maybe your Facebook page, and make your videos short. So when I gave you the statistic about the number of people who are reading their emails on smartphones, I told you to keep that in mind for later. So now it's later. When you're creating an email, you need to make sure it's mobile responsive. Mobile responsive means that when people open it, the email is going to conform to the device that they're on, whether it's their smartphone or their tablet. And that means that people are going to be able to scroll up and down. They're not going to have to scroll sideways in order to see it. Very, very important that it be mobile responsive. So when you're doing that, you want to think about not having multiple columns, using larger font sizes, and using fewer images than you might otherwise. So you want to think about that. I also encourage you very strongly to test your email before you send it out to your entire email list. Test it by sending it to yourself first. Open it on your phone, open it on your tablet, open it in your browser, and test it first. So we've done pretty much most of the hard part, and we're in our last 15 minutes. So we're going to whiz through the rest, taking advantage of that 20% promotion part, because I know that everybody wants to do business. And I want you to do that by making sure that you include a call to action in pretty much everything that you do in that, well, not pretty much, in everything that you do in that 20% promotion post. So everybody knows what a call to action is. It is a specific action that you are asking your target audience, your customers, to take in order to help you reach your goal. So you might be asking them to click, to visit, to call. Any of those things count as a call to action. And a call to action, you could look at as sort of a bridge between your goals and your actual results. Now, unfortunately, we can't force anybody to take action, but there are certain things that we can do that make action more likely. For example, I have a client that we tried everything to get people to click on their call to action. And finally, what we did was we turned their call to action into a button, and found that the button created a 45% boost in clicks. Normally, clicks in an email range anywhere from 5 to 10%, depending on the industry. If your click is a button, you could get a 45% boost in clicks. That would be number one. Number two is using an email service provider, and you see the differences on the right and the left. On the left is an email sent from Gmail, Yahoo, Outlook. On the right is an email sent from an email services provider like Constant Contact that is branded and looks so much nicer. The other tip that you see on the left is the call to action button. And the tip there is having that button above the fold, having that button high enough up that people see it before they have to scroll too far. So that's just another little tip that I give you when you're creating your email. Have that call to action up at the top. So I did a whole study, and I wrote a whole blog post about 1.5 years ago after I went shopping with my daughter for a wedding dress, about how important it is to narrow your choices down. If you can narrow down your call to action to one, you're going to be leaps and bounds ahead. Only have one call to action in your email. Use actionable language. Tell them to do something. Okay, if you don't tell them to click, they're not going to click. Keep it above the scroll and use that tip to create buttons. Very, very, very important to do that. Okay, so remember our Half Moon Yoga goal. Current, previous members, they wanted to increase class attendance, 10 attendees per class over 3 months. What was their call to action? It was a button that said, view the schedule. Okay, page 2 of your workbook gives you an opportunity to work on your call to action clearly. We're not going to do that if we're going to finish anywhere near on time, and maybe even have a moment for some questions. So I also want you to think about, before you create that call to action, where does it go? Okay? Where does it go? So, for example, if you want people to schedule an appointment with you, don't send them to your homepage of your website and make them click on the Contact Us button. Send them to the Contact Us page. Seems pretty obvious, but I must tell you from experience that in many cases it's not obvious, which is why I'm wasting your time and telling you about it right now. All right, to my chagrin, we don't have a whole ton of time to spend on measuring your success, which is why I put it where I put it in the presentation. But I've got to tell you that as a business owner, you need to be making data-driven decisions, and it's always easier to do if you have a beautiful cuddly dog to help you do it. So I want you to measure your success. I want you to do things like look at your opens, your clicks, your event registrations, your completed forms. Look at the reports that you get in a tool like Constant Contact that measures your open rates, and that lets you evaluate the send day and time, that helps you optimize subject lines, that gives you recognizable from names, that gives you the industry averages, that helps you with click-through rates. Simplify your call to action, format links that stand out, put them in buttons, send targeted content, look at those industry averages again. And whatever you do, and this goes out to the person who said, I'm not sending emails because I don't have a big enough list. If the only people on your list are your friends and family, you have a big enough list. You need to start sending email, because even those 5 people can be forwarding your email to people they know who your message might resonate with. So write your goals, design your call to action, start measuring your results, and then you're good to go. Now, for the few of you who said you aren't using email, if you want to start using Constant Contact, because we're sponsored by Constant Contact, you can go to this link, and I think I can put this in the chat real quick too.
And Brad, if you just want to forward it to me, I can put it in the post email.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can use Constant Contact free for 60 days without a credit card. And if you want to actually get Constant Contact, you can get a deal of 30% off your first 3 months by using that coupon code at checkout. Okay, so we do have a few minutes.
Yeah, so
for
questions. You can just unmute yourself and chime in.
I got a question for you, Brad. What are some of the things that we need to be aware of if we're doing cold emailing? Are there some, things that we want to make sure we avoid, like places not to send it, or things not to have in the email, or things that we have to have in the email?
Yeah, so cold email is very tricky. So are you talking about like having purchased a list?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I haven't yet. However, I'm wondering if it would be worthwhile, and if it's a good way to go or not.
Yeah. So generally what happens, generally I do not recommend purchasing a list, because technically it's considered to be spam when you purchase a list. Anytime you use an inactive campaign, when you upload a contact, I believe you have to check a box that says that you have permission from that person to add them to your list. And you have to do that in most email service providers in the platforms. Most of the time when you purchase a list, what they're doing is they're selling you a service, and you buy the list, and then they also email it for you, and you work with them on your messaging, and it's a whole kind of package deal. Some people get some success from that, and then it goes from their server. The reality is it's still spam. It's still technically spam. So I don't recommend buying lists. You need to do it the old-fashioned way.
Sounds good.
Anybody else? I have a question, and it might be sort of hard because I know every industry is different, but is there a general, just like a general rule of thumb for a good, what you would say would be a successful email campaign based on the clicks? So let's say we had 2,000 people on the list and 250 people opened it up. So 10%, 15%, 20%, what do you think?
I think in general, 15 to 20% open rate is good. But personally, I mean, the open rate is an important metric, but I personally am far more interested in the click rate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm personally, it's like engagement. So you might have 1,000 people like your Facebook post,
Mm-hmm.
but only 2 of them click on the link and go read your blog or go visit your website. Well, as far as I'm concerned, that was not a good post. So if you send out 2,000 emails and 200 people open it and only 1 person clicks on your call to action, that's a fail as far as I'm concerned. So I'd like to see a 20% open rate. And then, I'd like to see a 5 to 10% click through. I want them clicking on your call to action because that's why you want them to open it.
Mm-hmm.
You want them to do whatever it is you want them to do in the email. It's not, opening it is what I call a vanity metric. Clicking on your call to action is growing your business.
Awesome. All right. Thank you. That's great. So other
Yeah,
questions?
I got a quick question.
Yeah.
So you said that you're encouraging people to click their email to their social media page. Why would they do that? Why do you want them to do that?
Well, one, it's an extra piece of content that you don't have to come up with yourself. 2, it is giving people who aren't already subscribing to your email list an opportunity to see your email and then subscribe. So it's a great way to grow your email list and get your word out to people who aren't already. It's that question that I asked. Do you think everybody who likes your Facebook page is already, subscribed to your email list? Probably not.
Right. And then the other part is you were talking about using some video. How are we supposed to use video in our media promotion?
Tools like Constant Contact let you put video in the email. You can put video on a YouTube channel and put a URL in your email and it'll render the video right in the email. It'll open and you'll see as if you were on the YouTube channel. It won't just be the link. I strongly recommend using video anywhere you can use video. Social media, email, video, though I maintain video is a sign of the dumbing down of America.
Yeah.
As a marketer, video is the hottest thing out there right now, and we got to use it because that's what people want.
Well, would it be okay if, because we have a video production company, would it be okay if I put my contact information? I don't want to use this platform. I'm here for some education, but would that be okay?
Sure.
Thanks.
You bet.
Any questions? Comments? Going once. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming out and joining us today. And thank you, Brad. Always a pleasure to work with you. I appreciate all that you do and all that you give to our clients. So coming up, we have a lot of things coming up. I actually don't have them on the calendar just yet. Here, let me stop this recording.